Welcome to your freshman year at the Tragedy Academy, where you are the teacher and we are the students. And together, we will learn from past tragedy to lay the foundation for a better humanity. The only supplies you'll need, an open mind and a sense of humor. So, tilt that chair back, talk out of turn, and never raise your hand. Because this is the Tragedy Academy and class is in session. Non-purist scholar.
Right off the gate. Slick, dude. It's the Tragedy Academy, and I'm dropping my shit right out the gate. Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. My name is Jay, and today I'm joined with Sarah Donna. How you doing today, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So I actually, the paper that I dropped was the list of just wild stuff that you've done in your life. And I got to read some of this off. You were a ring girl, a professional ring girl for years. You were Miss Michigan 5 times. Like, how hated are you in Michigan by the female population there? Or the pageant population?
Oh, no, it's not like that at all. No, we all love each other,
is
but
like, that's dynasty
it's not
level.
the same pageant, though. It's like different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
so,
still.
like, I have 5 state titles. Only 2 of them are like Grand Slams, and then
what's a Grand Slam?
5 different organizations. Those are like the top 5 beauty pageants. Like USA, which I don't have a title in. That's like the biggest one. That's the Universe organization. Then there's like Supranational, which I had a title in. International, which I had a title in that. I think Miss Grand is a Grand Slam. It's been a few years.
Well, no matter how you look at it,
but
to be able to navigate that kind of system, because that's got, dude, the pressure in there for a woman has got to be horrifying. Judgment on every level, from intelligence down to what you're wearing. That's got to be super vulnerable, and I don't think anybody ever sees that.
Yeah, it's definitely like a challenge. It challenges you on like different levels, like in areas you didn't think to even think of. Like how do I hold my hands when I walk? Stuff like that.
That's funny. I was in the Army, and I can completely relate to walking with your hands in a certain position and being reviewed and that kind of stuff. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. But, I'm also not
aware of like what you're doing.
Yeah. But the upside is I look like everybody standing beside me. That's the design. So I don't have to feel like I'm overly judged from a distance.
Right. Yeah.
So you were also, I love this. You were in the circus.
Yeah. Yeah. I trained at a circus school for like 5 years.
Oh, you went to circus school?
Yeah, so I was a professional circus. I performed, but I was in a school.
Wow, that's
so I primarily did like trapeze. Yeah.
Whoa, hold on, trapeze, like flying through the air?
Not like flying trapeze. That's a different. I did static trapeze. So the trapeze was just in one spot.
Still, though, I mean, you're up in the air. You're risking your life at that point.
It's a lot safer than people think it is. But.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, the nets are there. I've jumped off a ton of obstacle courses.
Oh, no nets.
No nets?
No, you're only like, I think the tallest one I was on was like maybe like 8 feet off the ground. And then there's like maybe 10. And then there's like a big mat on the bottom, but there's no net or anything.
But still, I contend that there's probably the dads across the nation all just groaned at 8 feet, because I think the emergency room is filled with people that fall off ladders from that distance. Every dodo in America has broken a bone falling off of something like that. So I'm giving you some credit.
Yeah, it's wild what your body can do when the ultimatum is just like falling and hurting yourself. Like you can hold on way longer than you think you can.
You know what? The one word stuck out to me in there, and that was ultimatum. You gave yourself an ultimatum to accomplish something. Is that something you normally do?
Yeah, I kind of do. I never thought of that, but yeah, kind of.
So that's, I find that interesting, because I looked, I had to, I guess with this job, you have to mildly cyberstalk the people that are going to be talking to you. Super weird, but also,
you gotta make sure I'm not weird.
Dude, you are. And I love it. I love it. So that's what I was going to bring up. I'm like, okay, so you get the the information for who your guest is, and the first thing you see is pictures, and I firmly believe that you should close your eyes or not look at pictures before you talk, or before you make a judgment to what you're taking in, because with society today and the way that the cognitive biases are just implanted in our brain, I'm sure more than anything, you've been judged because you're blonde, you're pretty, you're a model, and you do all these things that are, ring girl, circus, and probably just get hammered for it.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
When I looked through the TikToks, I was almost cry laughing at certain points. And I probably, it seems like you just jumped onto TikTok recently.
Yeah, I had a TikTok for a bit, and then I just watched, and then I was like, I'm gonna make some. I'm bored.
But would you say that is that when you're most authentic?
TikTok? Most authentic.
In the roles and the things that you do you find that that's an environment where you can be more down to earth? Yeah,
probably that or Twitter.
Okay, so it's funny because there's a dynamic out there, and I peruse all the channels, and it's like you're looking at people's social media, and Instagram looks one way, TikTok looks another way, Twitter is just off the fucking chain. That's the Wild West. There's like fucking that's where a samurai and like a cowboy are fighting with a dragon on Twitter, and they're all yelling political words. It's horrible. But it's kind of interesting to watch. But
I love it.
It is. It's like people watching. I live in Florida.
Yeah.
I live by all of the theme parks. So I can go to Universal, sit down on the side, and it's like a kaleidoscope of just entertainment.
I'm in Hollywood, so we have, sit on my porch, I see some interesting stuff. So I definitely know how you feel. Yeah.
That's got to be such a bizarre world, because like I said, when I looked at your TikToks, you don't fit that mold. You have wit, and you have you have a different perspective than what people would normally assume in society right now. And I saw one thing that you said, and it was that you hated bullies.
Where did I say that?
You were talking about people that you would, I forget how it is. You had a list of different TikToks, and it was people that shouldn't be. No bullies at your funeral.
Oh, yeah. That I would drag them to hell. Yeah.
That made me so happy. It made me so happy. And then I think I saw somewhere that you said you only wanted, what was it? You wanted thirsty pics. They just had to be
thirst
like
traps.
Thirst traps only.
Of me.
I'm a huge fan of the funeral, because it's not for the people. It's not for the dead person. It's really not. Yeah. It's all for the living people, because they're already gone. And
no, I want it all about me.
Right? We've discussed like
my show.
Inviting, like one of the comedians said he would invite like John Stamos and just put him in the corner and have him come, but not say a word to anybody and then get up and leave, and just have everybody question whether or not you were friends with John Stamos.
That's actually really funny.
It is funny, right? Yeah. We've talked about all sorts of ridiculous things, and so the bully thing, though, there was one other cyber stock piece that you had said that stuck out to me, and you said that you hate people that did not have to go through the awkward phase.
Yeah, I do. Why? Everyone should have an awkward phase. Everyone deserves to be humbled at least a little bit.
I tend to agree with you. Agree with you, because without humility, then you can't have empathy.
Yeah, I had an awkward phase. It was very awkward.
What is it? Tell me what is Sarah phase? In the awkward phase?
Oh, I was just a dork. I was a huge game nerd. I wasn't that cute. I wasn't ugly ever, but I wasn't like cute. I was just like awkward. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was like really like, I was weirdly shy, where like I wanted to be outgoing, to really push myself. I was really shy, and I didn't really have like social grace. So I would just like, it was just like very awkward.
So is this one of your ultimatum situations?
Well, no. So this one was more, I really got right out of high school, I started doing beauty pageants. And that's when I learned how to like speak to people. And that's where I really built a lot of confidence. And really learned how, I don't know, really not, you really have to learn how to like work a room. I don't know how else to word that when you're in pageants. You're on stage with like 50 other girls, if not more, and you have to stand out. You have to learn how to command attention and how to command respect from people. And so that was really like coming out of my awkward stage, definitely like strategically built thing that I had to like actively work at.
No, I find it, I love it because I think it's, I mean, it's everybody's story, you know, even it's funny, you know, I feel like there's two reasons everybody should have an awkward phase. Because if you don't have one, you can fall apart at such a young age because you don't have that skill set, and you can lose yourself in reminiscing, and you can,
you're peaking too young,
way too young.
I can't. I'm so glad I didn't peak in high school. I'm just talking to my roommate about that last night. I was like, I'm so glad because I think, you know, I just
there's not a bomb in there.
I'm glad I got all my awkward.
Do you have a bomb in there?
Can you hear that beeping? No. All morning, trucks have been backing up.
Oh, that's too funny. I hope it's one truck.
All morning.
I hope the guy's just bored.
It's been one truck. This is Hollywood.
So all of the awkwardness you got behind you.
Hopefully.
Well,
still a little bit.
So what does that, so there are a lot of people out there right now, right? This is, God, I'm so glad I'm not a teenager right now.
No, me too.
Right?
They're too pretty.
Well, that's the thing. Are they? That's the other thing. Those filters are
so good at Photoshop.
Like
the pictures I photoshopped as a kid. Oh my God! I'm glad.
Right? I'd have been a hero. I'd have been doing things.
Oh no, when I was in high school, it was the cringy, like over Photoshop, like you black and white the whole picture, and then like you Photoshop your eyes to be like bright red.
Oh yeah, so generationally, I didn't have Photoshop. Thank God. It was right after I got out of school.
Count your blessings.
I believe it because we did a show a while back on AI deepfakes and stuff like that, and talking about how horrifying that it is for women on social media with the prevalence of artificial intelligence and the deepfake memes and videos and all that kind of stuff. I can't imagine being a kid with a friend that could have an app that could put your face on something, doing something such horrifying things. That's, I think. Yeah,
it's scary.
It's very scary. It's very scary, you know. Whereas someone like myself was bullied, you know, in a small town, right? And
same,
so coming from an area like, I mean, I grew up in a pasture. Everybody's heard these stories. It's episode 75, I think. So, but you know, in that background, it just, you grow up humble and you tend not to, I don't know, I kind of lost where I was going here.
I'm following though. I
right. It just, when you grow up that way, it tends to isolate you from societal norms. You don't realize that bubble you live in as a poor child in a small area. You don't realize what's acceptable, what's not. You go out into the world. If you're bullied and you're trying to be all these different people, because all I see is kids right now just simply killing themselves to be, I don't know what.
Yeah, I struggled with that a lot. I went to a school in the country. I grew up in like Port Huron, which is, I guess, sometimes considered a suburb of Detroit, but it's right next to Canada. If you look at Michigan, I grew up here. Detroit's like here. So I grew up here, and then I went to school like here. And please don't look at my nails. I forgot that I didn't do one.
Oh, well, now I'm gonna look. So you just called you called attention to them.
No, we're not going to talk about it. But so I went to school. I mean, they're a really small, like, farming community, and I'm not really a country girl. I really didn't fit in, and I was a gamer. I was like on Xbox Live. But just the amount of humbling I received, I just didn't fit in.
Yeah,
but,
no, I understand.
That small town, if you don't fit into, and people who don't come to this world don't get it, but if you don't fit into that niche, that small town niche, you stick out like a sore thumb.
It's horrifying To be
And you just
outside of
gotta
that
target on your
bubble
back.
is
Yeah.
horrifying
Mhm.
because you're
Yeah.
ostracized. And if you add things
Right.
like awkwardness or being bullied
Mhm.
or those social stigmas of being poor or, dirty or whatever it might be, if you're outside the bubble in a rural area, you're screwed. You will
Yeah.
go out into life unless you have a strong parenting unit, you're screwed. You're going to go out there
Yeah.
with a distorted view on reality.
Mhm. Yeah, it took me up until, honestly, I moved into LA for me to build this, like, try to, really just figure out who I am. And once I moved out of Michigan, I was like really dedicated to becoming like my authentic self and the person I not only want to be, but the person like that comes naturally to me, because I was so forced. Because I immediately moved once I turned I was like 18 and a half. I moved out of Port Huron closer to Detroit, and then just kept moving closer and closer and closer to Detroit. And it helped, but getting out of Michigan and just starting over really kind of flipped the switch for me.
Would you say that maybe you accomplished everything that you weren't supposed to be? Like
Yeah.
you exercised all those demons in a short amount of time through different areas and then found your way to authenticity? Because I think it's the
Yeah.
easiest.
Yeah. Once I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to just be myself. If people don't like me, they don't like me. They don't have to. And then now I just don't care. I think I had to get to a point where I just stopped caring about so many things.
A lot of people say it's not caring, and I understand you. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna kind of flip it a little bit, and instead of
Mhm.
not caring, I would say not judging someone's view of you, not
Yeah.
allowing it to be a factor in your life. It's even
Yeah.
better because I think
Yeah.
that what you're doing when you become authentic, you have no more fear because there's nothing for them to pull up in front of you. There's no catch.
Right.
There's no snag.
Exactly. Could not be bothered. I just couldn't anymore. I really just it's past that. RuPaul has a really good quote, and it's I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's something along the lines of like, other people's opinions are none of my business. And I've kind of really implemented that into things, because I'm like, it really isn't my business. If you don't like me, if I can't fix it, it's none of my business. Like, if it's something I can fix, and we want to talk about it, fine. But if you just don't like me because you don't like me, that's really your problem. And there's nothing I can do to fix that. So I'm not going to be worried about things I can't change.
That's a very heightened self-awareness at a young age.
A lot of therapy,
Once a week. I go once a week. You got to exercise the demons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think everybody should have a therapist.
I say that all the time. I think everyone could benefit from therapy. I can't think of one person who wouldn't benefit from having a non-biased person, even if it's not like intensive therapy, even if it's just like talking to like a counselor. I think everyone could benefit from having like a non-biased
I think that,
person in their life.
The stigma needs to be ironed out. I think that it's changing a lot now, but I know that in the rural areas, that stigma has not and will not change for a long time. It's not allowed. That is a sign of some horrible weakness, especially in the male community in those types of areas.
Yeah, I agree, because it's not like the manly thing to do to like get help. And I think everyone needs help.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't need help, please come find me, because you are you might be God. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Like, that's the Messiah, right? If you don't have any problems, because I don't know anybody that doesn't. It's so bizarre, but it's the authenticity piece. And you when you give yourself that ultimatum, I kind of did the same thing at one point. It got to, coming from that bullied background, things like that. You question so many things about yourself, and you have such a horrifying self-image. And to see someone like yourself, right, navigate that, go through that awkward phase, and then come out the other end, what advice can you pass back to Sarah when she was, coming up in this?
Just laugh it off. Like, there's so many things. I hold on to things. I'm a Cancer. I'm sentimental. I hold on to everything. I absorb everything. It's like, there's things that have happened to me that, like, I should have just laughed off. And I just dwelled on it for too. Like, things happen to me now. I'm like, that's funny.
So you're a running narration.
Totally embarrassing. And I'm like, yeah. And I just like, you know what? whatever, can't do anything about it now. Might as well laugh about it. Like, I'm not going to get mad about it. Like, I'm not going to throw a fit about it. Like, I'm just going to laugh it off. And I wish I was more like that as a kid.
Same.
I'm just really critical of myself.
Hypercritical.
And, I think it comes from a place from other people being really critical of you. So you start to be really critical of yourself. I was reading an article, and it talks about how the way people speak to you as a child starts to become your inner voice.
Man, oh man, is that a root cause for a lot of issues in life? It is, and this isn't. So I like to, when I think about the parents of our world right now, or the parents of our generation, and I don't like to slander anybody. Both of my parents are alive and that kind of thing. And I try to explain to people that you can only be the sum of your experiences in the moment that you're there. Right. And if that is, that spare the rod, spoil the child and all that other stuff. And, then you're going to do what you do, unless you're, abusive. I think that, we have to have compassion for them when we describe our situation at the same time, because it's kind of like that Dr. Seuss thing, right? Dr. Seuss is horrifying now. The dude write like 400. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just was very still.
Yeah, you were. You were like still. I was like, I didn't know if you froze.
I used to be a still life model, so I feel like I could hold it.
Wow. I was like, is she breathing? This has to be a frozen frame.
Breathing. Actually, maybe not. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I like forget to breathe, and I'm like, you're good level.
You forget to breathe? Is that what you said?
I ask everyone I meet, I'm like, do you sometimes forget to breathe? And they're like, no. I've never met anyone else who does that. But sometimes I'll just be sitting there like, oh God.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I started noticing that when I started meditating. I started meditating like 2 years ago, or like a year and a half ago. I haven't missed a day yet. And it changes your perspective on everything. It is such... Man, the way that we've come up in the Western civilization here, we've been screwed out of some really important information, like a lot of information. The cognitive biases towards Eastern philosophy and meditation and all those types of things have really prevented us from counseling ourselves. I mean, seriously. Yeah. That's what meditation is.
I agree. I'm super into I'm very into astrology, and I can chart things.
Oh, no kidding.
For fun. Yeah, when I think, I'm not talking about horoscopes and stuff, which is part of astrology, obviously, but I I charted Oprah Winfrey and stuff like that, and then I study charts. So the last thing I did was I just studied but yeah, so I'm super into, and there's a lot of principles that lead into astrology. That,
dude, the math is there. It's been there.
Math.
It's never changed.
I love when people criticize me for liking astrology, because they act like it's this girly and I'm like, do you realize I'm just doing algebra and geometry for hours?
Exactly. And, they're also making fun of the most intelligent people in our history, which would be all of the Egyptians, all of the other philosophers and different astronomers that came up with so many different things based on the metrics involved with astrology.
And numerology, very similar.
Yes.
Nikola Tesla was obsessed with numerology.
There are so many things about Nikola Tesla that people just don't even realize. That dude was so... I hate the term woke because it's been super abused. But if there was a woke person walking around in humanity, it was Nikola Tesla. Dude, that guy knew. He understood reality in a different way.
He did, yeah. And then super into I don't know if you're really interested in a lot of the Eastern theology and stuff. The CIA files that have been released this year on the CIA website go over a lot of metaphysical stuff.
The gateway documents?
Oh God, yes.
Yes. Oh, dude. Read them through and through. And you know what?
Oh yeah.
I can't be convinced of things. I don't like to be convinced of things. I don't like somebody else's bias in my opinion. So I tread lightly in everything I read. And on this journey for the last couple of years, I have had situations in advance of confirmation or validation. So throughout meditation for a year, I'm like, well, why am I feeling certain things in meditation? These aren't normal feelings. There's different things. You're in it for an hour, 2 hours, and if you really meditate that long, it starts changing. And then you read the CIA Gateway documents and you're like, huh, you throw them across the room. Because you're like, wow, that's these guys knew. They've known.
It's like kind of terrifying. And they've known for so long. Like, wow. Yeah, crazy. Not crazy. I watched the tapes too. Wild.
I haven't watched the tapes.
There's
Just read the documents.
I haven't seen all of them, but yeah, there's like 30. They've been leaked all online. But.
They rolled over. I mean, we do realize that they've rolled over. Now the news and the military and everybody else are like, yep, we see those pyramids floating there too. They're not even denying it anymore. They're just like, yo, we're with you.
The UFO docs that came out too, really hard to navigate, and there's tons of them. But those ones are wild too. Those ones came out, I don't know, I have no concept of time, to be completely honest. Probably like a month ago maybe, or
I have zero concept of time anymore either. The more authentic I became, the less I cared about more things in the future and past.
Time doesn't exist.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
No, it actually
not even a little
it's
bit.
a man-made concept. Yeah.
See, now I can have this. I have a theory. And here I am. I'm roganing out or some crazy shit like this, right? But my theory is that we suffer from we're in a dream state, that we're walking in a dream state and we're playing make-believe. I think that we've been passed down all those traits hereditarily, genetically, and that we have found all because of the fear of death, because we can't address death. And that because we're so afraid of it, we had to come up with something to justify life. And we started doing more things, because how many things do we do that make no damn sense? No other creature ever did any of the things we're doing. They look at us like we're crazy as shit. We pick up dog poop.
Yeah, crazy.
The things that we do, people sell their souls to make the Impossible Whopper, smell like meat. Some dude probably got divorced. He worked until midnight every night, because he wasn't getting the right beef flavor out of salad, and he just kept doing it and then lost his life over it. What is that? That's gotta be insanity, right?
Yeah,
that can't be. Yeah. Why are we doing it? So yeah, I
definitely think, so I definitely kind of like to go along with that. People always ask me how I get all these cool opportunities and how I've done all these things. I literally manifest it, and people will think I'm nuts. And I'm like, no, I just I will write down on a piece of paper something I want, light some candles, sit and think about it. I'll talk about it every morning, and then it just falls in my lap.
Dude, fake it till you make it. Every single time, and you will be.
Oh my God, the second I figured it out, I'm writing down all these things, and it just is all happening for me.
And it will go the opposite direction on you in a snap. If you don't, if you deviate from the plan, you will you'll give yourself a whiplash. If you fall back, I liken reality to, how if you had a vacuum hose and you and you had a ping pong ball, right? And you let that ping pong ball go, it hits that vacuum hose, right? And it sits there. It makes that sucking sound, doesn't move. I liken reality to that, the make-believe portion of reality, that if you play the game, that you will get sucked in, and you're literally pulling your head backwards away from that vacuum, and it's harder to get back out than it is to go in, and it just holds you there until you pop your head back, and you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, I'm not ugly, I'm not stupid, this person's not mad at me, this doesn't make sense, this is not the way it's supposed to be, let's back off again. And then you find your center again. That's how I feel every time I think that when you manifest things, you can do it the other direction so quick.
Absolutely. That's why you got to keep, that's why it's so important to do self-care and to work on yourself constantly. Because if you're sitting in your head thinking, oh no, I hope I don't get fired, I hope I don't get fired, I hope I don't get fired. You're saying that out into the universe listens. You might get fired. You really have to stay positive thinking. It really is a lot powerful than people give it credit for.
110%. I think it starts with being grateful. It's Absolutely. A hard one. It's a hard one to be grateful.
Yeah. And I think being honest with yourself, very honest with yourself. I noticed things started, I always had just a terrible string of bad luck for the longest time. Just the weirdest, wildest, crazy, horrible things would happen to me. Just crazy stuff.
Were you a victim at that point? A perpetual victim?
I want to say I tried so hard not to keep that victim mentality where I'm why does this happen to me? Why? And more just I'm going to get out of it. And it was really when I was I'm going to this is done. I'm done. Like, stuff like this isn't going to happen anymore. I'm doing this. I literally, when I moved to LA, I decided 2 months before-ish, I was like, I'm going to move to LA. And I things kept falling in, and I just kept talking about it. Things kept falling into my lap. And then I just drove out here and I had a lot, and then it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then, I meet the right person at the bar, and then it just happens. And now it's
been that with this show, the same thing. Things just, over time, they just, and I agree with you. I think that that authenticity piece, and I drill it all the time. I think that when you are authentic, you are honoring what you were made to be. And when you become who you're made to be, you will only attract things that are like. You will attract people that are better for you and that should be around you because you're being authentic. Money, don't fucking worry about it. Just toss it to the side, because if you're you, it comes. And if you're doing what you love, you don't care about it. Because if you're doing it to hang shit on your wall or drive, then you're not being authentic.
Right. Yeah. I had a therapist tell me a few years ago that, she was like, you should be honest with yourself because you deserve honesty. You should be authentic with yourself because you deserve to be yourself. You just a list of all these different things that
you deserve.
I should treat myself like this because that's what I deserve. And then I was like, yeah, who said I don't deserve it? And then it just kind of went from there. And then that was kind of really where things turned around for me, because I was super depressed and I just couldn't find a job I loved. I just really in a weird, confused spot. I was making bad decisions. And it's like when you're in that mind state too, and you're presented with bad options, you'll choose bad options because you don't care about yourself, or whatever. And once you start being honest with yourself and being yourself and genuinely caring about yourself, you'll pick better options for you because you give a shit.
Once you feel like you can dance naked without judgment, you're good. I mean, it's like you act like you do when you're in the kitchen and nobody's around and a song is on. Because why is it that, if you were scrolling through TikTok and you see it's always the candid videos. It's the videos where somebody's recording somebody that doesn't know what's happening and they think they're alone. And my theory in that is, they're being authentic and being 100% them. And it gives us joy and it attracts us to them when we see it. Best artists, all throughout time. I mean, our best musicians, all those things. When they're themselves, no matter, even if they're not that great, you'll still flock to them. You'll still flock to them because they're being them. And I don't know. That's what I see you doing. And I think that's super cool. I think it's a good example.
I try real hard to be myself because I think we're naturally ourselves when we're younger, and then we get pushed into something we're supposed to be. And I think no one ever talks about how hard it is to be yourself. It's so hard to figure that out.
And just like you said, those inputs that you can get, that inner child and the things that are put in there, and those aren't just parents. Those are any single experience can skew the entire path of your life. And I always try to not judge anybody because, well, first of all, I don't want to be judged because that sucks.
Fair.
And on top of that, I'm not them. I was not there.
Right.
I don't know what happened on day one. And if I don't know what happened on day one, I cannot be judging day 10,032 because step one could have been real shitty, or the first 100. Everybody always says, let people, you got out of this situation. Everybody should be able to get out of this situation. I'm sure that there'll be people that look at you and they'll never assume you had an awkward phase. But you have to navigate those situations. You have to navigate those situations. I thought, real. If you want to be real about inputs and things like that. When I grew up, I had a condition for about 3 or 4 years. It's called gynecomastia, right? Mm-hmm. And it's it causes chest tissue, right?
Yeah.
I was also ripped. And when I say ripped, I mean I was ripped. I was an athlete. I was all these things. And that's a recipe for disaster, right? Because everybody hates you. And once they know they've got that, I mean, down to family members, whoever it might be, they will rake you over the coals. They'll do it to such a point that they'll question your gender or make you do it. Weird things. They'll distort your mind to such a point that you hate being alive and all those things. But then you pop out the other side and you're expected to be assimilated. You're 18 now. Yeah. Check it out. Let's go see you do some normal shit. No, not even a little bit.
My favorite is when you get past all that and you start succeeding and you're doing well, and those people who are mean to you, or didn't treat you so well, act like nothing happened and everything's fine and dandy, and you're like, do you not remember sixth grade? Like, you know, it's like, why?
It's got to be bad for a woman. I got to tell you, there's not too many people that are coming back to check me out after childhood, but I did grew up in a very small place.
I had a message on Facebook, which I'm about to delete because I don't want Facebook. But
it's slowly becoming Twitter.
And, Facebook's just, I just don't need it. I don't go on. The only thing
my grandma's on there, so I kind of have
to. My grandma is on there. Yeah, I'll probably keep Messenger. But I got a message. It was like, hey, saw, you know, you did X, Y, and Z, and you know, it's so crazy. Like, we went to high school together. I was way out of your league then, but look at us now. I was like,
no, whoa, hold on. They gave themselves a compliment on the way in the door? Is this a pickup move? Is that like giving a negative talk?
I don't think. Yeah, no, he was trying to like ask me out. I was like, this is not the compliment you think. Also, we didn't go to high school together. Found that out later.
That's one of those boneheads that think an insult works as a way to bring a woman down a peg. You know, like, oh, you look great, but your hair, it could be a little different, you know, or something like that.
I was like, first off, we were never, I wouldn't have looked away in high school, to be completely honest. And like, we didn't even go to the same high schools. I was like, did you just like make up going to the same high school as me? Because, or do you really not remember me to the point that you think we were, like, I don't know who this person is. So weird. But I get stuff like that all the time. Or like, you know, I don't know, people just, I've gone to bars in my hometown and have like people come up and hug me that I went to school with. Like, and I was like, you wouldn't have spoke to me.
Gotta be honest.
10 years ago.
My therapist won't even let me go home. And I know that there's friends of mine that are in the Army or were in the Army and stuff like that. And they're going, Jay, no, that's not true, because you can put on a fucking mask as soon as you get out of that town and you become somebody else, but you don't know who the hell you are. You have no idea. No idea.
Right.
I put on a ton of them. I was a solution architect. I was a cop. I was in the military. I was, you know, I did stupid claims for insurance. That's some dry shit.
Insurance. I sold insurance for a while.
Oh God, that's the awfulest place to be. There's like a Family Guy bit.
I didn't mind insurance. I just didn't make enough, honestly.
No.
It doesn't pay for what you're doing. You're not. I went from real estate to insurance because I was like, it's probably easier. And like, to be honest, it was a little easier. But I was like, I have to take it. And it's like, you're working like just as much.
You're working like 80 hours a week. It never stops.
I should be making more. I mean, I worked the same hours in real estate, but I was like, I feel like I was working so much more for less. And there's people who really, really succeed at insurance. Definitely not knocking. Like, there are people who make bank in insurance.
There's got to be a claims adjuster at career day, right? It's somewhere. Yeah. There's got to be a career day. I don't know what these secrets are to like make bank and insurance, but I just wasn't. And I was just working. Why would you want to know that?
Work-life balance.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You know what? No company deserves 40 hours or more than that.
Yeah, that's why I got to real estate. I was working like 90 hours. I was, you know, making money and stuff. But I went to insurance because like it's commission-based sales. So I thought it would be a little easier on me because I wouldn't be, you know, like putting it on. But I was, and then I wasn't in business as much as I was in real estate. So
HR and hiring is a sales job.
Yeah.
It is a sales job, 100%. Everything is
something.
No matter what the message is, it's still a sale. You know, you just have to be yourself when you do it.
People don't get that. Sales skills are so important because it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're selling something. This is a very consumer-based country. You are selling something. I don't care what you're doing. You're selling something.
Yeah, you're always selling something, and you're always. You know, it's funny if you listen to people, right? They have so many different personas. Like, if your mom called you and you answered the phone, you'd be like, "Hey, mom," right? But if AT&T calls And you're like, what? Or if you're talking to somebody to get like, your bank account taken care of, you're like, yeah, so blah, blah, or if you go into an interview, you become interview person, right? Those are all not authentic.
Absolutely.
And those are a lot of faces and masks to remember.
Yeah.
That's where the insanity comes from. You keep having to remember who the fuck you were the last time you talked to somebody.
It's an identity crisis, for sure.
It's fractured so many ways. And then the cognitive biases that come along with it. You never know what you're looking at through a fractured lens. You just don't know. And people just don't respect that. They don't understand
100%.
it. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. This has been super, super cool. I mean, you're a super down to earth person. I wish you nothing but success. I mean,
thank you so much.
I think that everybody could take a page from a book that somebody, the whole awkward phase is I think it is important. And I think also we look at people that didn't go through them from an empathetic position because they're screwed later. They're screwed later by everything that happened to them young, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, but social media is very why these youngins, they could be in an awkward phase now. We wouldn't know they're hiding behind Photoshop and stuff. I didn't have Photoshop skills to hide my awkward phase.
No, I certainly didn't. That's why I didn't get in pictures. I refuse to be in pictures.
If anything, the Photoshop made it work.
Yeah, I challenge people to go back and look. God, that would be the worst.
I challenge everyone to not go back and look at my awkward phase.
Why not? Embrace it because you're not you without it. You gotta laugh at that stuff. You have to.
Oh, I think it's funny.
It's super funny. I had a mullet at one point. A mullet. I had a rat tail.
So
at one
we're
point.
also kind of coming back.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was Mr. 90s. At one point I had the little ladder on the side of my head.
90s coming back. I love Y2K.
Oh,
that's going to be like my fashion all summer. Y2K stuff. I'm already investing in like low-rise jeans. I am so here for it.
Oh, you going to do some bell bottoms too?
You know what? I think I'm too short for bell bottoms. I don't think they look great on me.
You think that? Oh, well, I see what you're saying.
I'm much shorter.
There's more bell than bottom. It's like
it's all
bell.
Bell. I don't have the legs.
I never thought about that. That's horrible. That bell bottoms are discriminatory to the short. Well, Sarah, we've ended this show like 4 times. And
I know.
No. I want to keep talking. That's what I'm saying. Same. So I'm definitely going to have you back, and I'm sure everybody's going to love this and hearing about you and your story. Let's do this again.
All right, go team.
All right. Remember, be cool and keep learning.
Hey, academics, thanks for attending another class at the Tragedy Academy. You can show us some love by rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. On Amazon Alexa, ask to listen to the Tragedy Academy podcast. Please visit our website at thetragedyacademy.com, where you'll find past interviews and blogs on our homepage, and sign up for our newsletter, Spam with Extra Grade. We're on Facebook at The Tragedy Academy Podcast, on Twitter at Tragedy_Academy, and on Instagram at The Tragedy Academy 2019, where we'll post recent shows, blog entries, and thoughts. Submit creative work and funny stories to us at our website or on social media. Thanks again for coming to class, and remember, be cool and keep learning.
Jay, Eric, please report to detention again.
What's up, academics? This is Jay. I'm here to talk to you about Into the AM. This is a clothing and apparel company that I came across last year that has the absolute coolest designs. And the reason why I was attracted to it is because I grew up without a lot of money, like many others, and had to shop on that outlet rack with the irregular items. Things like the fly was over 4 inches to the left, or the right sleeve would be twice the size of the left. It looked like I was growing horizontally. Like, it's okay, honey. You'll grow into your left arm.
So you really don't get a chance to express yourself the way that you want to. You go into life, you start putting on suits, you start putting on uniforms, and you realize you'd never had a chance to truly express yourself. Enter Into the AM, a team of artists and creators who share a common vision. They see clothing as a canvas to express what drives you. Since 2012, they've developed premium apparel that elevates self-expression and provides unparalleled comfort for wherever your passions take you. Into the AM's passion for change is the driving force behind their brand. They remain committed to creating products that inspire and promote self-expression by partnering with like-minded organizations focused on giving back to communities in need. Last year, they donated 1% of all revenue from their graphic tees collection to the Art of Elysium charity. The Art of Elysium is an artist organization built on the idea that through service, art becomes a catalyst for social change. For over 24 years, the Art of Elysium has paired volunteer artists with communities to support individuals in the midst of difficult emotional life changes. They currently offer 110 community programs per month, serving over 30,000 individuals per year. The only permanent thing in life is change. Supporting charities dedicated to helping those going through these changes, trials, and tribulations require a never-ending commitment. The onus is on us as creators to affect change through our true, authentic talents, and Into the AM is the model of how this is done. Their clothes are handcrafted with care. They have a team of skilled artisans that craft each garment with the highest quality fabrics and eco-friendly inks. Not to mention, these things don't shrink, they don't fade, and they fit as if they were designed supernaturally. I'm stopped every time I wear one of the graphic tees to find out where I got it. The colors attract attention from miles, and the art is nothing short of spectacular, with designs for everyone. One of my personal favorites, Twilight Maiden. Go take a look. Into the AM does all of this while putting their money where their mouth is. 30-day money-back guarantee, lightning fast shipping, and hassle-free returns. The deals are endless. Graphic tee bundles, discount promo codes. Get over there, check it out. I'm highlighting the tees, but I'd be remiss to not mention that if you want to walk around in the absolute most comfortable shorts, joggers, and basic tees, hit up Into the AM. I even wear the basics to the gym. Head on over to thetragedyacademy.com, go to our sponsors tab, and follow the affiliate link to the Into the AM store. Help support Into the AM and the Tragedy Academy by purchasing the absolute best apparel and the best designs ever. And remember, academics, be cool and keep learning.